Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I've made it pretty clear that I never buy pay-per-views, and a lot of people say to me, well, why are you so anti-pay-per-view? It should be down to the individual. You know, it's our money, we can spend it when we want. I got no problem with that. You know, it's your money, you spend it on what you like. But me, I watch fights, pay-per-views, should we say, using other means, okay? And I have no shame about that, no conscience about it at all. And I'm going to explain why later on. Because what does really upset me is when people say you're taking the money out of boxing, you're ripping off the boxers, you're people like you are ruining the sport, and you know. Now let me point out, and I've said this in previous videos, I've spent probably 40 something years going to boxing shows, mostly small hall shows. I don't particularly like going to the big fights because I could never afford the ringside tickets, which were astronomical, and I'd rather sit at home and watch it than sit up in the gods watching a couple of ants sort of move around a very distant ring. So I've plugged thousands of pounds into boxing, small hall boxing, grassroots boxing. So I completely reject this nonsensical idea that I'm ripping off the boxing in general, the industry. If I am ripping anyone off, it's multi-millionaires who are so drenched in money, so you know, they're wallowing like pigs in a money trough, and that yet they want more. Now I'm talking about, you know, obviously Fury is worst of the lot, although AJ is not far behind, and I reject completely this idea that there is, you know, trickle down economics. Trickle down economics is bullshit anyway. Whenever you hear that, it's just some sort of absurd right-wing notion that, you know, people who believe slavishly in all things capitalist will put that out there as to try and justify their greed and their own gluttony. But to me, as far as boxing is concerned, it definitely doesn't happen, and I think it can be proven. Because if you look at the undercards of any pay-per-view fight, and I'm thinking more so recently rather than in the past, and I'm looking at things from the UK perspective. Now, if you look at the last two pay-per-views for Fury's contests, which would be Derek Chisora and prior to that Dillian White, the undercards were barren. They were complete deserts. Okay, why? Because the people at the top, which was namely, mostly Fury, because he is so unbelievably greedy, and also, you know, the other two participants, Chisora and White, they were taking not just the lion's share of the pie, they were taking virtually the whole pie and leaving a few crumbs for the underlings. So you're not going to get a lot of money trickling down that way, are you? You know, it's clearly, evidently not. Now, prior to that, there have been some pay-per-views. Let's go back, say, 5 years, 8 years certainly. But I'm thinking particularly of Eddie Hearn rather than Frank Warren, where in order to build up the whole notion of pay-per-view, to make it acceptable in the minds of the public, to build that familiarity and to make the idea of pay-per-view a sort of accepted part of the mainstream, the undercards were stacked. And this can actually be traced back to the Bellew Cleverly rematch, where you had a terrible, horrible main event, which wasn't pay-per-view worthy at all, but you had a stacked undercard, and also the price wasn't too much. The price, I can't remember, was it 15 quid? I didn't buy it, but 15 quid, rough 12 quid, 15 quid, whatever it was. Now, it was inevitable to anyone who wasn't just thinking short term, to anyone who was trying to look into the future, that this really was an attempt to, as I say, make the whole notion of pay-per-view acceptable again after it had been killed stone dead or by the Hay Aldy Harrison farce, to try and build it up again, to reintroduce it to the public. And, you know, they were giving you what a lot of people would consider value for money, but that was never going to last, because inevitably the money doesn't trickle down, it gets siphoned up, and suddenly the people who were at the top of the tree were thinking, wow, yeah, pay-per-view, I can make a lot of money. Of course, no, I'm not even going to go into the Floyd Mayweather mentality, which is prevalent over the other side of the Atlantic. I want to concentrate on the UK scene. Inevitably, it was going to get siphoned up, the money. And what happens when more and more and more demands are made by the big stars, your Joshuas, your Furies and so on? Well, the price of the pay-per-view has to increase. And the more and more and more money people want, that the top few want, well, it has to get taken off the people on the undercard. So pay-per-view, it's not the people that watch fights using other means and ignore pay-per-view that are killing the sport. It's pay-per-view. It's the notion of pay-per-view. And this is one reason. It's not just purely a selfish reason, although my own wallet comes into it, don't get me wrong. But it's more than that. It's the idea that pay-per-view, yeah, pay-per-view's great because we can only make certain fights with pay-per-view. Tyson Fury's got to have 50 million and Anthony Joshua's got to have 40 million. They can't make do with 14 million or 15 million. No. It's the only way we can make these fights, you see. You've got to pay the big stars. You've got to pay them what they want, what they demand, And then you throw, in recent years, a lot of the sort of Saudi money that's come into the game. I mean, it's not quite as prevalent, I think, it's not quite as regular a thing as people have made out. Although when those figures get thrown around, even as hypotheticals, the top boxers in the those Furies, AJ, it doesn't matter who it is, even people like Gervonta Davis and Terence Crawford and so on, these people are going to want a bigger and bigger and bigger pie, and at some point you have to say, well, actually, no, we can't do that. Why can't we do that? Because we're going to have to charge the public astronomical amounts. And look at the price of pay-per-view in the US. I know I said I'd stick to the UK market, but I have to mention the prices that people in the US pay. Why on earth they put up with that, I do not know. Although, let's be honest, they tolerate the cost of healthcare over there, so maybe they'll tolerate anything, I don't know. But over here, people are a bit more, hang on a minute, no. So 26 quid or whatever it was for Fury Chisora. Some people bought it. More for them. But I think a lot of people were like, no, I ain't paying that. Rightly so. So when people talk about, streaming or watching it via other means is killing boxing, is stealing money from boxers, it's not killing boxing at all. It may be taking money out of already astronomically rich boxers' pockets, but isn't taking money out of the people on undercards or grassroots boxing or small hall boxing, or up and comers or amateurs. It's not taking any money out of their pockets. In actual fact, what is, I don't know whether I'd say ruining the sport, but what is damaging the sport is the greed and the gluttony of the very few at the top, and that means pay-per-view. Okay, so just a few thoughts, comments down below. Yeah, let me know what you think. Do you buy pay-per-views? What do you think? Again, it's your money. If you want to spend your money on that, you can do. I'm just giving you my view about what I think, and I don't buy pay-per-views. But if you do, it's your money. But let me know what you think. Comments down below. And of course, hit the like button if you like the video. Hit the like button if you didn't like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Let's build the channel up. And yeah, thanks a lot. Bye for now.